seventh edition of Walk the Talk Show. Today, my guest, quickly bring him up. It's Jordi from Atlantis and Bitcoin Barcelona Hub. Jordi, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Yendo, I'm doing great. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. Nice to see you too. Where are you now? Where are you broadcasting from?
I'm in Barcelona. I'm preparing our next meetup of August, and we're getting things ready here for the one of the summer, I think, very quite interesting events that we're gonna run in the Barcelona Bitcoin Hub.
Amazing. I know that the Barcelona community, Bitcoin community, is very strong. There's a Bitcoin walk in Barcelona as well, and I know this is like very hardcore maxi Bitcoiners and quite a robust community. I think one of the strongest in Europe, I would say. So that's interesting. I want to talk about it as well. But before we dive into Barcelona, maybe you can just do a little bit of intro. Tell our listeners, whoever is joining us, to walk the talk. Basically, we have met a while ago on the Bitcoin walk, actually, didn't we? It was, I think, in Helsinki. And we had a good chat, and we quickly connected, and caught the good vibes, and we've been in touch since. And yeah, just an intro from myself, shilling a little bit of why this show exists on Thursday on this weird hour, and it's a live stream, no cuts, no edits. It's literally raw material with my messy hair. But basically, it's something that I decided to do on Thursdays. To kind of spread the word and have a chat with people who might be somewhere in the world, might be thinking that they are the only Bitcoiner in town, maybe a little bit under the weather because of different reasons, because of bear market or whatever life situation throws at you. So you're not alone. There's always someone around you, and if there's Bitcoiners around you, it's going to be much easier for you to actually open up, have a conversation, and get hope, be hopeful again. That's how I felt about Bitcoin Walk. That's how I felt with everybody I met across, on my way to on every Saturday when we go for a walk, wherever we are, really. You always get to meet other people, and even if they're complete strangers, you very quickly connect because you've got this one thing in common. So this is kind of warm up. Thursday warm up to Saturday walk, and it's a healthy thing. So my question to Jordi is like, what's your plans for Saturday, buddy?
Yeah, and actually, I have participated not only in the Bitcoin Walk where we first met, but in many others here in Barcelona that are organized by our fellow Bitcoiner Groovies. So shout out to him. Who knows? Maybe I'll see him on Saturday.
Amazing. I've got something for Groovies from my Spanish friend living in Scotland. I'm in Scotland right now, in Edinburgh, and I made those flags. Don't own zero Bitcoin. Que no tengas cero Bitcoin. And I thought that this was, a nice pun. Basically, back in the days, we used to take a picture with the flag. Like, so we would hold the flag and we would ask a random person, "Hey, could you take a picture of us?" And we would just have a flag. "Hey, don't own zero Bitcoin," in the face of the person taking the picture. I thought that was pretty neat and a funny way to do that. Cool, Jordi. You've been, I can probably say, a community leader in Bitcoin space. You've been around. You're associated with Atlantis. I wanted to talk to you about building communities and what does it take to because we're not a crypto project, right? We don't have a marketing budget. We don't throw parties or whatever. What's it like to hustle and to build communities in the Bitcoin space?
Yeah, and this is the typical scenario with all of the Bitcoin communities that I've been visiting or the ones that I am organizing here in my town. Yes, we don't have that marketing budget. We don't have a chief marketing officer. We don't have a sales team. We don't have a business development team, because most of the Bitcoin community organizers We just like Bitcoin. So this is not our job. This is a discovery that most of us have reached, but neither of us has, or the majority of us don't have the training on how to launch, maintain, and grow a community. We don't know that. So each community has different, uh, is doing different activities to somehow uh, execute what I was saying, launch, maintain, and grow. And unfortunately, because none of us are professionals, then we don't have the same scope, or we don't have the same visibility as other type of communities. For example, the crypto communities, and I've seen that in many places, many conferences. I'm trying to stay away from them because I don't care about this type of project that they do, because you can have a community of everything, right? You can have a community of football players, for example, if you like football, and they also have a
Well,
good marketing team.
at this point, I just wanted to make a shout out to Gingers for Bitcoin. It's a great community focusing like gathering all the ginger people who are Bitcoiners as well. I think it's a great community, and I love these guys big time.
Me too, and I usually meet them as well in conferences, and we discuss techniques, tactics, recommendations, experiments. And going back to what you mentioned about the crypto community, they have something that we can learn from. It's that they know how to pull off great events. And I'm gonna stay here for a while. Like, a community, it's fine, but to have a community, you have to first have the or generate the feeling of belonging. And to generate the feeling of belonging, you need to meet meet people in real life. Like, what you and I are doing now online, it's fine, but what we did in Helsinki at BTC Hell last year was like the bonding, a type of bonding that you will never do. Even if you and I are here live talking, even if we continue the talks as you and I are doing most of the days, when we talk on the chat, like, I think the small unit of account for a community is the event. This is what I've been discovering for the last 2 years that I've been traveling. The small unit of account needs to be the event. Call it a Bitcoin walk, call it a meetup, call it a retreat, call it a masterclass, a workshop, a party, whatever you want to, whatever type of event that you want to put in place. But the smallest unit of account needs to be the in real life event.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's great that technology allows us to connect with one another from different parts of the world, but the screen and the computer basically it doesn't give you the feeling of having a person next to you. And I especially like Bitcoin walks, obviously, because I'm biased. I cannot not like it. But what I appreciate about it is the fact that you're when you're walking in a group, you can change your interlocutors, and you kind of focus on where you're going. So there is no kind of situation where you're in a lockdown with someone eye to eye, and somebody's telling you. There's always this one guy who knows everything, and he's going to be telling you, and it can be intimidating, right? So here in the walking format, it's quite relaxed. You can change who you're talking with. You can just listen. You can just listen to other people talk, and you will learn a lot because those conversations are coming from different angles. Some are technical, some are more economical or philosophical, or political as well. So that's very kind of mind opening, and a good format to actually start asking questions and learn. And it's a great format to also bring a friend. So if you ever try to,
Mm.
if you got this one friend, you try to orange pill and he's like, yeah, I'm not sure. Just bring him to a Bitcoin walk. He'll be surrounded by Bitcoiners for an hour or two, and there's no way that that we won't make it to orange pill them. Um, Awesome. Jordi, tell me about Satlantis, because that's a project in the space that's also trying to reach out to the normie lands. Satlantis is focused around events, right?
Yes, it is. As I was saying before, in order to build a community, you need to start with the smallest unit of account, and this is the events. So I'm working. It's gonna be soon. I'm gonna celebrate my second year here at Atlantis, and I think that we have nailed the creation of events. We have created like a complete CRM. CRM is a tool to manage your members of a community, your potential leads, future attendees, and it's a tool to post events online. Some people, for example, they use Google Forms. You can create a Google form, say, "Hey, I'm I'm organizing this event. Would you like to come?" Other people is using WhatsApp polls, like who can meet on our next meetup, and then you can choose like Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, and then people choose which days they want to go. And those tools are useful for small communities. But once you start creating recurrent events and you want to keep track of who's coming or how many people is coming, for example, when you have to organize an event in a venue, you need to know how many people you will have to accommodate, or maybe that venue is limited because it only has like, let's say, 50 chairs, right? So Satlantis is a tool that allows you. It has like all these features with all this granularity to allow you to organize an event using a software. It's a software that you can use on your website, or you can download your app on your phone, and then from there you can even sell tickets. So there are some people that are. I would like to share one example of a community, a
Hmm.
neighboring community that I already shared on my Bitcoin community leaders Telegram group, but maybe some people from your audience hasn't heard about it. It's the Bitcoin Apes Cascades in Portugal. And what they do is they charge for their meetups and in fiat. And when
Okay.
somebody of the attendees arrives to the venue, what they get is an exchange, like part of this money that was paid in fiat gets exchanged into Bitcoin, and then everybody that joins that meetup has already some Bitcoin on their phone. And then
Okay.
with that Bitcoin, they can buy drinks, food, or just play along with the other attendees and
Yeah, yeah,
exchange
yeah.
sites. So
That's
this is
brilliant.
like,
That's
yes,
brilliant.
go
I,
ahead.
I I love the idea of kind of, I think it's like every festival should do that, right? Like if you have thousands of people coming, and wanting to spend money on, I don't know, getting a drink or buying some food or whatever. They're already there. It should be all digital. It should be all done exactly this way. Tell me, like, have you experienced that? Have you like what's the user experience? Do you get your wallet and you get some sats sent there, or do you get like a QR code and scan eCash, or like how does it work?
Yeah, so the issue with this type of approaches is that you have to be at the door and ask every person that comes what is his knowledge of Bitcoin. Because you might find you and I that probably will already have a wallet in our phones, but there will be other people that never heard about Bitcoin. And the issue, the biggest challenge is that you might be having blockages at the door, or maybe you have to have like your partners to grab this person by the hand and stay in a while, stay aside for a while and
Yeah.
tell them, okay, what is your phone, who are you, what type of interest do you have, like getting all these questions to download the right wallet, and then from there explain them like maybe now you have to do like the recovery and all this. So the biggest concern with this type of action is that it takes forever. So in Satlantis, we launched this new feature that is called guest bulk payments, meaning with one click, you can zap all the attendees at once. So I think that this is like a good hack to onboard 100 people in one click, because these people, they don't even know what is Bitcoin. They are
Yeah,
pre-coiners. They come to an event with the hope to learn about it.
yeah.
So our hack here is that you don't have to download a wallet. You just download an app to log in to that event.
So basically, whenever you're confirmed on the event, so anybody who responded to event I'm coming, then basically can get a zap. Like it's not a geo zap, but basically it's similar idea. Yeah, that you send
It's
you send.
similar.
Mhm.
It's very similar to the Geos app, but on Satlantis, we do not ask for GPS permission. So we don't know where you are. Now,
Yeah,
we don't know where you are physically,
yeah,
but if you registered for an event in Edinburgh
yeah.
now at 10 a.m., and somebody at the door scans you, because with the app you can scan the people, we can more or less imagine that you are there, right? Even
Yeah.
though we don't extract your data from your GPS. Now, once you checked in, imagine you are the organizer of that event. Once you
Mhm.
scan me as an attendee, then you know that I'm in, because there is like a toggle that says check in. It's all like automatic. And then you can see the list of all the attendees. You can filter by who came, or you can see who didn't come, or you can see who didn't pay, or whatever. So you can select them manually, or you can click all, and with one click you send the money to all the attendees. You as a host, you do that whenever you want. It's not
Okay.
automatic. It's You have to do the action, and you can say like, imagine that for the venue, um, sorry, for the event, you charge me, let's say, 15 euros, and then once I arrive, you decide to give me 10 euros in Bitcoin, and the other five, maybe they go to cover the cost of renting the venue, or of doing some ads online to promote the event, etc. So
Yeah.
then automatically, I, a random attendee that never came to this type of event, will have like 10 euros in Bitcoin in an
Yeah.
app that I didn't even know it was a wallet. I thought it was just an app to register to an event,
Sneaky. Yeah.
right? And then
Okay.
from there, maybe you can tell me now, if you're thirsty, if you're hungry, here there is a bar,
Yeah.
and they only accept QR codes. You don't even have to explain what is Bitcoin, if such. There is just a QR code, and then
Ah, I
you
like
just,
that. Okay.
right? Even in the app on Satlantis, we don't say Bitcoin. We call it wallet, and then we show the price in fiat, and then in small it says whatever conversion to sats it
Yeah.
is. So we want to make it easier and not scary for the pre-coiners.
I got you. It feels like Bitcoin is this kind of the word that just the taboo word. You cannot say Bitcoin because other you just people will turn around and say, oh no, magic internet money, funny money. I don't want to talk about that. It's I got this kind of vibe that maybe this is how it's perceived. Mainly, I think by people in the developed countries. I mean, that's how I feel in Scotland. I still ask the question when I buy a coffee. Say, hey, can I pay with Bitcoin? Well, I'm getting looks like, are you crazy? Are you insane?
Yeah,
Are you
me
just
too.
a joke or something? I said, no, I'm just it's that's how we use that's how we pay for stuff. It's you accept Visa. Why don't you accept Bitcoin? It's actually cheaper to use Bitcoin for coffee payments. Anyway, we're still early, so. We have to keep doing the good job we're doing, and we'll get there. Jordi, I wanted to pick up on the article that you wrote a while ago, the good Bitcoiner, and I wanted to kind of ask you the question: how the modern lifestyle takes us away from our tribe, our community, and how Bitcoin can fix that.
Yes, I like that. This article, it's collection of traits that I've seen in my 2 years of travels to all these Bitcoin communities, Bitcoin circular economies. And what I realized is that there are like, like we have like the fiat world, and then we the Bitcoiners see things differently. Some of us like to to reference this as with the movie The Matrix, right? Like once you are the fiat world, it's the Matrix, and then when you are in the real world, you are a Bitcoiner. And once when you are inside of the Matrix, what you just described as this modern lifestyle, we are pushed because money is broken. We are pushed to do things now. It's the from my point of view, the misinterpretation of the carpe diem. It's like because the money is leaking, is the ice cube is melting. It's like
Mhm.
either you use it now or it's gonna fade away. So the modern lifestyle makes us do things with a short mindset, short time frame mindset.
Mhm.
And whereas for Bitcoin, it's what we Bitcoiners call the low time preference. We are looking for things that have an impact long term. So to see the differences between modern lifestyle and and the Bitcoiners, you have to think like for any action that you do in your day, is this gonna have an impact long term, a positive impact long term, or short term? And because I think all goes down to the same issue, because the money has like this disease that is losing its purchasing power just by definition. We are forced to do things immediately. For example, let me give you an example. um, I'm an employee. I have my salary. At the end of the month, I got my salary. And I feel like with this money, I cannot save. I cannot buy my house. I cannot start a family or whatever. But there is enough money to do some things. All right. So I'm going to book a travel. I'm going to buy a concert to this artist. It's an expensive concert, but it's not that expensive that I cannot afford it. So I can do a lot of activities in my daily life that have a short-term impact. They are like um, it's a fake feeling of happiness because going to that concert is not gonna give me happiness. It's gonna give me joy today, and I have nothing against going to
It's a
this
moment
concert.
of dopamine rush, right? Like you get happy just now, and then yeah.
Exactly, and the only way to maintain this happiness, this perceived happiness, is to next month to go to the next concert, right?
Yeah.
So then it's you start in this spiral of expenditure that will never help you uh, generate something long term
Yeah.
unless you keep spending. So I think that modern lifestyle, I don't know if this is by design or or if it's just an effect on since we started living on the fiat standard. But this is what Bitcoiners are trying to fight against. And this is what I wrote in this article that I called The Good Bitcoiner, which, by the way, it's a little bit of an oxymoron. It's a joke, right? Like there are no good or bad Bitcoiners, right? This is just a subset of traits that I found in this collection of meeting with people like you, like me, like anybody that I've been meeting in the rest of the world. And in this article, I talk about a lot of things that, if you think about this long-term mindset, will help you get away from this modern lifestyle. And don't get me wrong, this is not a checklist that you have to check them all. This is not a, a collection of actions that we must do so we feel that we comply. No, no, those are just things that I recollected on my travels, and what
Yeah.
works for you might not work for me, and vice versa.
Of course, yeah. I found that that's more of a direction rather than you have to be than a destiny, basically, right? But one thing that stood out from that article, which I'm going to link to this video as well underneath this video, was the low time preference. So you put a lot of emphasis on low time preference and how Bitcoin it feels like we're constantly running in the hamster wheel, and then Bitcoin allows us to step out and take a break, to, just chill, right? Just like pause and basically, what you said about the people who are kind of living on average salary and making the ends meet, working paycheck to paycheck. um, I feel very sorry for those people, because they say, they, as you said, they got enough money to go travel, go and spend money on things that they can put on their Instagram. But if you can afford 3 or 4 times, going for a holiday 3 4 times a year, don't tell me that you cannot afford to buy Bitcoin, because that's what I'm trying to say. And I heard this many times. People tell me, "I'm sorry, I don't have money to invest. Like it's not for me. But let's go for another holiday. Let's do something. Let's buy some new things on Amazon." And I'm saying, like, this is not that's not the point. The point is to start today and to start building hope. And with Bitcoin, just this low time preference, if you say $5 a week, and do it for a year, 2 years, at one point you will see that this is not a nonsense exercise. That this actually makes sense. This is a something that you will anchor yourself to, and be able to plan your future upon. So it's a very different mindset to those kind of high time preference people
Yes.
who keep on spending and keep on, like, I feel that there's a lot of people who are kind of nihilistic. They don't yeah, they don't think about having a family. They don't think about building a house. They don't think about those things that we should aspire to have. Like, and not everybody will build a house. Not everybody will have a family, but those are this is the standard. We all should be ambitious enough to actually get there. Should be the direction, right? And like I'm now in Scotland, and Scotland is a very nice country, but it's also full of absurds. There is plenty of trans people on the streets, and people here are also, like, generally kind and polite. But to me, what stands out is, like, there's a lot of lost people. Like, people are completely lost in who they are, what they are, because they've been enslaved into this Marxist propaganda of communist propaganda of basically living paycheck to paycheck and not having much hope for building your own dynasty. I'm not saying that everybody will build the dynasty or should build a dynasty, but when you're young and forming and have some ambitions, you don't want to stay mediocre all your life. You want to plan ahead. That's what Svetsky says in the, in the, let's say, Bushido of Bitcoin, right? Like, we should have the courage to see into the future and to kind of project where we want to be and basically take steps to get there. And what I see here is, like, people are so ignorant around Bitcoin, is that they don't have time to stop to talk to you, to learn. I was buying a coffee from a coffee shop nearby. There's a sausage roll stand here, basically, and they we orange pilled them, and they accept Bitcoin now. It's one in Edinburgh. Like,
It's
the very,
something.
it's something, yeah, it's something. So when I came back, it's like, hey, I would like to buy a sausage roll. Can I pay with Bitcoin? And there was a new girl there, and it's like, oh yeah, well, I think we do that, but I don't know how to do this. It's okay, you can just download the wallet, and I can show you, yada yada yada. So we had this conversation, and I said, look, this is a transaction over Lightning, and I'm saying, this is the money I sent from me to you with no banks. It works 24/7. It's like reliable, and there's no middleman to take any cut. And she was like, ah, okay, well, that's interesting, and, like, only because they already are on the BTC map, and only because she kind of heard that they accept Bitcoin, she was willing to to give me like 3 minutes of her time to actually have this interaction. Otherwise, it would be like, nah, sorry, mate, like, good luck somewhere else, like, I don't know who you are, you're just another weirdo in this weird town. So okay, it's plenty of NPCs here. But yeah, that's how it works, right?
It's how the system is built, and it's not their fault. Like, for example, one day you don't wake up and start considering things that you never thought about it.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
another topic. Like, I don't know.
That's that's where I think that there is no such thing as a golden recipe for orange peeling person, because each person is different. Every person, like, I always try to listen to what's like where they coming from, to find an angle to anchor somehow to their problems, and that makes the whole conversation much more natural, and they're more open probably to solve their own problems, with what I say, what I tell to them.
There is there is a trait that repeats in all the places that I've been that I think that it's worth mentioning, and nobody cares, right? Like, it's only you, I, and the listeners to this podcast that care about how Bitcoin works, right? Like, the Bitcoiner community, the the curious Bitcoiner is a small community. Now, the use case of Bitcoin is for everyone. It's not just for the curious. And I'm gonna use like this metaphor or this parallelism. Like, nobody knows how a bank transfer works, but we all send bank wires and bank transfers.
Hmm.
So the common use case that I've seen that works is, and I'm bringing that up because it's very similar to this example that you were saying about this coffee shop, is just try to get people to use it, not try to get people to understand how it works. And I want to go back to what I said before, and you mentioned as well festivals, conferences, etc. In any of these places, it should be compulsory to buy products in Bitcoin. Like, compulsory doesn't mean that the merchant should only accept Bitcoin, but they should accept it if somebody wanted to pay with Bitcoin. And our job as community leaders is to help them. Like, maybe we can set them up a wallet to start with, something small, and uh, push people to use it. So when you organize an event, for example, you're organizing the Bitcoin walks. So you have the control of the narrative of what's going on. So you can say to your attendees, we're going to do a stop over in this coffee shop because we've been walking for 2 hours and I want to drink some water or whatever.
Hmm.
You are the organizer of that event. You have the right to say that. You are the one creating the route. Or if anybody that is listening that is organizing other type of events that are not walks, that maybe they are meetups, dinners, games, you, the community organizer, you have the right to to just put one peel of orange peeling inside of your whole event, and that should be, let's spend Bitcoin. And don't spend it just for the sake of spending it. It needs to be related to the event that you're organizer. So as I was saying, for your case, if you're doing a walk, a drink a drink stop, that's logical, that's obvious. If you
Yeah.
are doing a dinner, somebody has to pay for the food. If you're doing a game night, right, maybe it's a poker night, so you might want to participate with money into this game. Or maybe you want to do a football tournament, and to participate you just want to pay, even if it's just €1, right?
Yeah.
The amount doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that all the attendees need to live through the experience, and you, as the event organizer, are in charge of creating this experience. And this is something that I've seen everywhere. When in all these communities, all these circular economies that I've been traveling to, when there is an action, a real action of using it, not of explaining it, I don't care. And if somebody asks you, how does it work? Okay, you mark this person and you put him in your database of attendees as the curious Bitcoiner, right?
Yeah.
So and then you start separating who is the people, who are the curious. If they are curious, then you can invite this person to go to a workshop, to go to a technical explanation. But today in this event, we are orange pilling. And to orange pill, if you, because I hear you. I hear you that every person has a different calling, and you have to understand that person before you start explaining it. But there are
Yes.
others that don't care. So if we try to explain to everyone, no, 1971, the Nixon shock, and then the Bretton Woods, no, man,
Yeah.
nobody cares. Like we are. How many people use Bitcoin? Do you know like these statistics?
You use Bitcoin as in make payments with Bitcoin?
No, just bought it or
Hold.
yes,
I don't know statistics, but I would say probably around 100 million.
100 million,
Am
100
I
million.
too, am I too optimistic?
I think if you consider people that just bought it on an exchange, or maybe that they have some investment in a pension fund, and because that pension fund is buying an ETF now, maybe, right? But that people that is Bitcoiner that use it every day, this is below like the
Oh
0.1%
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
in the world. So what we should do is not try to explain everybody history or tell them
Oh yeah.
this works, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And but just help them use it. That's the only way I think that Bitcoin uh, will thrive.
I tell you what, like I'm based in Madeira right now, and we've got a decent Bitcoin community over there, and it's become normal that when we do Bitcoin walks, one of our friends he makes beef jerky, like homemade beef jerky that he brings to the Bitcoin walks, and he sells it exclusively for Sats. And it's a perfect snack, to have it on, on a hike on somewhere in Madeira. So like I'm always getting some, portion of beef jerky. Um, and the funny thing is that you can see, like, okay, when the Bitcoin price was at all-time high, I was paying half of the price I'm paying now, but I don't mind that, because I actually appreciate the guy making a good quality produce, and I'm glad he's doing that, and I'm glad that he can stack Sats in this smart way, and I can get value from that as well, because it's a tasty beef jerky, so I do enjoy it, and I do like the fact that I'm sending my time and energy, my money, like real money, to this guy. So I think that this is a great use case. We've got another good friend who's making kombucha, who's baking bread, like organic bread, and also is selling that for Stats. So she's stacking quite regularly from this proof of work as well, on a healthy things. And I think that's like I'm watching that people don't mind spending their Sats, and we have to use Bitcoin as money. We have to save it and we have to spend it. So I'm encouraging anybody who's like, okay, I'm never gonna spend the Sat because I'm gonna be so rich one day. Th- that doesn't work like that. You have to live your life, and you have to give back a little bit to the community. That's the least you can do. If you're not building, if you're not creating, you're not technical, you're not building wallets, some solutions that are fairly technically complex, and if you're not a meetup organizer like you or me, the least you can do to contribute to the Bitcoin space is spend some Sats to those who are willing to sell something for Sats. So I do encourage anyone watching to actually try that out. Maybe try a different wallet. Try doing something new, something funky, and yeah, that's a great way to contribute. Awesome. I want to move on to our next segment, if that's okay. Since you've traveled a lot, you mentioned the Portuguese Bitcoin apes community, ape Cascades. That's what it's called.
Yes.
Yeah. But I wanted to check, like, with you, what is, from your experience, personal experience, what are the strongest Bitcoin communities in the world?
And I like this topic. No, I like that you mentioned the strongest one, especially after you just explained that we should use our sats. No, so what is the strongest? Because we should start with a definition. Like, what are the KPIs to define something is strong or not? And I like that you asked me that now after you recommended everyone using it, because I think it has a big correlation in this Bitcoin community leaders group. Every week I launch um, polls, and I ask questions regarding their communities. And I remember I asked one about KPIs, like, what are your KPIs? How do you evaluate if your community is doing good, or if it's not? And because based on those KPIs, then you might course correct, or change your plans and to achieve what are your goals. And the most answered questions were like, having people, like community building, and using Bitcoin. And I think that those are the two main KPIs to analyze if a Bitcoin community is strong. Like, a lot of people
Mhm.
using Bitcoin, those two things. And in my travels, I traveled in Europe, I travel in Asia, and I travel in the Americas. And I've seen like two types of Bitcoin groups. One, I like to call it the philosophers, and this is mostly the people that are living in the Western world. And they are not philosophers because they want to, but because the system they live are pushing them to become philosophers. And
To
I'm going to
question.
get into this in a moment. And the
Mhm.
other ones are the practitioners, are the
Mhm.
ones that meet not to philosophy about Bitcoin, but to use it. So, for
For the
example,
problem.
I go to the shop and I buy my meat with Bitcoin. This is a practitioner, and those are normally seen. I've seen them in the Americas, and I haven't traveled to African communities yet, but I have friends that have, and so I would like to divide the world into the Western world, and into the Western world, I might also include Asia and the global South. And those are the Western world and Asia are the philosophers, and the global South are more the practitioners.
Mhm.
And the reason for that, and the reason why of this division, is because in the Western world, we have a lot of regulations that prosecute the use of Bitcoin. So we are not philosophers but because we want it. It's because we are enforced by violence to be it. Because
Mhm.
if I'm a merchant and I start accepting Bitcoin and I don't comply with all the regulations I have to do to sell one drink that costs €1,
Then you're a criminal.
I'm a criminal, right? So it's not that I'm not doing it because I don't want to, but because I'm scared of the consequences.
Yeah.
So because of that, the Western world is not strong at all, but the strongest communities I've seen are in the global south. And based on my trips, there are the most popular communities are, for example, in El Salvador,
Mhm.
the typical touristic spot, El Zonte, which
Mhm.
is it's a very, very, very small place, but they all accept Bitcoin. And
Yeah.
then if you go deeper into El Salvador, if you go into the mountains, you'll find a couple of small towns like Berlin,
Mhm.
not to be confused with Berlin in Germany, and La Laguna, that they are run by our friends, Evelyn, Gerardo, and her team. And they have achieved, uh, let's say, 70-80% of acceptance of Bitcoin across all the merchants in town, which is it's amazing. Now you
Phenomenal.
have to you have to put the work to get there.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course.
You have to fly to El Salvador, and then get a car or a bus and drive 4 hours to get to one of those communities. So there is a strong proof of work to get there.
Yeah.
And our common friend Charlie Stevens, he's lived there for 3 years. He's been the man on the ground helping achieve uh, the onboarding of all these merchants. So this is one of the strongest communities. There are others that I like. My favorite, I think, so far is in Costa Rica. It's a small
Mhm.
town called Ubita that also you have to put the work. I think it's 3 hours from the capital to get there. It's called Bitcoin Jungle,
Yeah,
and a shout out to my friend Eugenio from Bull Bitcoin that is on the ground there, and Tico as well. They are there, and well, the whole team. You know the Francis Puleo from Bull Bitcoin. They are there doing that, right?
amazing.
They're doing an amazing job, and you might go to other westernized or Western world countries like maybe Paraguay or Argentina in Buenos Aires, our friends from La Crypta, but it's a different type of adoption. Because, if we are now talking about these philosophers, group of countries, yes, we could include Paraguay, Buenos Aires, and maybe in Europe. I like that you mentioned Madeira, because Madeira is Europe, but you're so far away from Europe that you can kind of
It's a
stay.
rock in the ocean.
Yeah, so it's like you're so far away that you might have some other freedom that we in mainland don't have. Yes, yes, yes. The Bitcoin Madeira, Bitcoin Atlantis conference that I suppose it's going to be in 2 years, next
Yeah,
conference, right?
around the next halving. Yeah.
Around the next halving. And then if you look into Europe, maybe another, or maybe the strongest community, and if somebody's listening, just please confirm, because I haven't traveled to there yet, but I have some friends who have, is Lugano. And that's because it's Switzerland, so it's not currently Europe, but it's in the Western world, so they have a different legislation towards the use of Bitcoin. So that's why there are many merchants that will accept it, because they are not being prosecuted. So this is like like the strongest ones. You would go to Central America, South America, in Europe or in the Western world, Madeira, Lugano. And then if you would like to go to the other side of the world, if you go further east, if you go to Asia, I'd like to recommend the Chiang Mai community. And sorry, Jimmy, if you're listening, the organizer of the Bitcoin Learning Center and the community in Chiang Mai, I don't like Chiang Mai. It's been westernized so much. It
Mm.
used to be, I like the Asian cultures. I have friends from Asia. I have visited Asia. I work for Asian companies. I like some of their cultures, but the problem with Chiang Mai is that it's first of all it's Thailand, right? Whoever wants to understand what I mean by that, I don't want to say things in here out in the open. The problem is that there is a massive influx of foreigners, white men like me, that came there and reshaped or tried to uh, ignore the local culture and brought the carpe diem culture that I don't like, which is destroying everything that has been built. And even though I'm saying all this, I was mentioning Chiang Mai because Jim is doing an amazing job educating the communities in the mountains, because Chiang Mai it's a city, and then around the region there are other communities that are less that has less resources, and he's doing a great job there, meaning
Mhm.
everybody's understanding and learning. So it's like a mixture of the philosophy and the practitioner world over there. So those are like a little bit of my main. And sorry if I didn't mention any of the others, don't get upset. I have mapped the whole ecosystem of Bitcoin communities in the world, and I have around 700 communities. So it's impossible that I mention them all, and I try
Amazing.
to give you or answer you to what are the strongest ones at least.
Fantastic. No, I love to hear that. I recently met with a friend who was staying in Poland for a while, and he's like a Bitcoin, absolute Bitcoin maxi. He doesn't touch fiat. He doesn't have a bank account basically, and he said that he loves Poland because he lived in Poland and he pretty much lived on the Bitcoin standard, paying for everything everywhere with Bitcoin using this tool called BitBlick. So there's this BitBlick app. It's in Spain you've got something similar like Bizum for for the mobile payments. I think.
Yes.
So basically, there's this system where somebody built an open source platform where it kind of matches whoever wants to share or sell their code to make a payment for SaaS. So you have two parties that want to trade, and basically, I go to the shop and you pay for my groceries, and I give you Bitcoin, and everybody's happy. So
There
that
are a
works.
couple of products similar. In Africa, you have M-Pesa, and in Thailand, you have Pleb QR. I use
Pleb QR.
them.
So that's exactly equivalent of Pleb QR
Yes.
in Thailand, yeah, in Poland, and there's also Bitway by the same author, same guy who built the BitBlick. So they made it for Portugal as well. It's currently just allowing you to withdraw money from ATMs. So you sell SaaS for cash from the ATM. It worked quite well. I tested it. If any Bitcoiners in Portugal would like to, get some cash, or anybody in Portugal would like to get some KYC free Bitcoin, check it out. It's bitway.me. Um, Sweet, Jordi. I've got one last question that is kind of touching on the work that Svetsky been talking about. How do we build the future on Bitcoin, and what would the future on Bitcoin look like? Give me your vision.
Yes, and I like to talk about that a lot as well because as a Bitcoin organizer of events and a maintainer of a community, I'm always looking for topics to bring newcomers to Bitcoin. So the future of Bitcoin will work if people use it, and to get people using it, we need more people to discover it. And I think that Bitcoin needs to be, if we want more people to use it, it needs to be the payment rails of the future. Meaning, what do I mean by that? Again, I mentioned that a couple of minutes ago. Nobody knows how a bank wire works. They just work. Well, the infrastructure providers, the engineers that build all the payments rails to connect your bank with mine, with PayPal's and with Venmo's and with all these other services that we were mentioning now, they need to know. But again, what's the percentage of that? Like 0.1%, 0.001% of the population.
Yeah,
The others just need to use it. So I
yeah,
think that the future of Bitcoin needs to we should forget about all these discussions that we Bitcoiners like to have, like, oh yes, I built this new open source tool. Somebody can log in into my GitHub and test it and download the demo. Sorry, it broke, but if you install this emulator, and
yeah,
I don't care,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
By doing
Freedom
that,
Tech. Yeah,
freedom, yeah. So, and I work for a company that is built using Nostr and other freedom tech and Bitcoin, but we don't even say that we have Bitcoin in our app. You
yeah,
can look it up. There is no Bitcoin mentioned to it, and even Nostr, that it's this other freedom tech that we are using, we are hiding it as much as we can because regular people, like the life cycle adoption of a new technology, like it's like at the beginning you have the innovators, then you have, which is like maybe the 6%, then you have the early adopters. Yeah, the innovators are the ones that are exploding and making things explode. Then
hmm,
when something starts working, then you have the early adopters, maybe another 6%. So in altogether they are 15. We are here, right? So Bitcoin products are here. We are between the innovators and the early adopters. And if we are stuck here for so long, we will never cross the chasm, which means get access of these difficult products to the early majority, the vast majority, before we discover a new technology cycle and we go to the laggards. So as long as we are focused on building products that will have a target market of two people, this is not going to work. We need to think for the vast majority. And I think this is the way to doing that is to use Bitcoin as a payment rails for a lot of things that will be built on top. And I'm doing my part. I think if I'm right, I'm doing my part by working for an events company. We are not
Mhm.
a Bitcoin company. I'm not selling you, no, if you download this and then you can do self custody, it's fine. We need to have like these self custody products, but this is not how Bitcoin is going to scale. Those products have their own market. And what I believe is that, and if somebody's listening, if there are any app builders or innovators or entrepreneurs listening to what I'm saying now, it's like, don't try to build a new product for us. No, this is not how, I mean, do whatever you want, but if you do that, this is not going to achieve the exponential growth of Bitcoin adoption. Build something for the masses that uses freedom tech in a better way. I'm browsing Nostr every now and then. I'm tired of seeing people saying, "Oh, check out my new Nostr client." Look, nobody knows what is Nostr. Why are you building something for a small audience that already has chosen which Nostr clients to use? But
Yeah,
what I would like to see is people saying, "Look, I built this new productivity app that we chose to use Nostr to log in because," and then you give me a reason that makes sense, not because you wanted to use a freedom tech technology. No, I would like to see people using like, and this is again going circle back to the first question. This is why I'm working on Satlantis. I'm trying to help bring people to Bitcoin that would have never thought what Bitcoin is and that would have never been interested. Because next time that you organize your birthday party, your football tournament, your meetup about astronomy, I want you to run it on Atlantis.
yeah.
And because by going to this app and by inviting your new friends and by doing the check-in, all the features that this app has, there are two small features that are hidden. That one is like it has a Bitcoin wallet, it has a Nostr identity, it has a Bitcoin address, and it can you can bring Bitcoin through the use of regular apps. And I hope that more people, that more builders, that more entrepreneurs listen to this, because if we keep building products, and with this I'm done, if we keep building products for us, we are not enough to
Yeah,
sustain the sustainability or the growth of Bitcoin.
I agree. I agree. That's a great angle, and I think basically what you said. Like Bitcoiners have we have different passions than Bitcoin, right? Like we do all sorts of things. Some might be into motorcycles, some might be into classic cars or medicine or whatever. And there's we have different kind of communities that we are kind of attached to, somehow as well. And we should be bringing those communities to platforms like Atlantis so that they can get their head around, they get it familiar, and be somehow exposed to Bitcoin. um, that's awesome. I think that the work you've been doing with Atlantis and generally, mentoring community leaders and helping, it's a very, very noble and hard work, I'm sure. But it's I'm sure you're going to sleep feeling you're satisfied with what you did. And I feel that your contributions are really, really great, and it's translating to more people stepping in and organizing more meetups and more communities. My personal thing that I kind of framework of thinking that I developed recently is that Bitcoin is many things, but one of the most important things is the community, is the sense of belonging together, having the ability to ask those questions, have those conversations, learn something new, make a transaction. Also, when it comes to the issue of trust, when you're talking about multi-sig or a bigger setup, you need to have the right framework and the right setup with the people whom you can either trust with the multi-sig, or whom you can trust with regards to educating, like your closest ones, your family, or whatever it takes. So that's great effort. Thank you for your work, and I look forward to actually, I really look forward to meeting you guys one day in Barcelona. I've got a bit of a FOMO for a Bitcoin walk in Barcelona. I'd love to do that. I'll be doing a Bitcoin walk in Krakow this Saturday. It's going to be an interesting one because we've got a couple of people just flying over or coming over to Krakow, especially for that Saturday to do the Bitcoin walk in Cracovia.
Amazing.
And I hope that it sticks. We've got a great community in Warsaw. We've got a community, I think, in Poznań as well. So in Poland, there's a few. Poland is not very it's not very orange on the Bitcoin map, but there are a few spots where Bitcoiners are quite active, and BitBlick is helping a lot. And the meetup, the Bitcoin Walk in Warsaw, is also flourishing. The guys over there are absolute legends. So my best regards to these guys. And I will be meeting more of the Polish plebs this Saturday over in Krakow. So I hope that sticks, and I hope that people do enjoy this very easygoing format of just going for a walk, having a conversation, like we did always, ages ago or millennia ago, right? Like people used to go and I like the saying that birds fly, fish swim, and people walk. So it's in our nature. It runs in our blood. Awesome, Jordi. Any last thoughts? Where do people find you? Give us some reference, please.
Well, first of all, thank you for considering me, for inviting me to your show, and for preparing all these great questions that I think that will add a lot of value. And if people liked the topics that we discussed, you can follow me on Noster, on LinkedIn. Unfortunately, not on Twitter because I got banned. So just search for my name here, Jordi Llonc in LinkedIn, Noster, and what else? Yeah, that's it. Those are my main social media apps that you can talk to me. And I have this, as you were mentioning, this Telegram group. So if you're a community leader, meaning if you organize a meetup, if you organize a walk, if you organize a community, and the meetup is called Bitcoin Community Leaders. I post content to help you grow your community. Normally, they are either articles that I find online, mostly from Svetsky. He's the CEO of Satlantis, and he has a lot of knowledge about building communities. But I also post real use cases of other Bitcoin communities, and I encourage every Bitcoin community leader to share what works for them, so then the others, we can learn and we can try to extrapolate these into our communities. And if anybody's interested, just drop me a message and I will invite you to this Bitcoin Community Leaders Telegram group.
Wonderful. I'm going to leave the links to your LinkedIn and your Noster underneath the video as well, so people should be able to find you there. Jordi, it's been a pleasure. I absolutely enjoy talking to you in real life, probably better than on screen, but we'll have our opportunity to meet very soon. So wish you all the best, buddy.
Thank you very much. Yes, and if you come to Barcelona, maybe we should go on the Barcelona Bitcoin Walk together.
We'll do that.